All right, good morning and welcome to the How Can I Support My Child series. It still takes a village to train a child, and your family and friends are your natural and most important support. The founder of the Parenting Through Mentorship Academy and PTM Resources, and of course, I am the proud matron of the Mastermind Circle, a peer mentorship and accountability group we run for young children and preteens because we want to point children to taking the lead in their own lives. When children understand the role that they play in their lives, they are better able to understand that they are responsible for their lives. The more responsible we point our children to, the more responsibility we allow our children take, especially as it has to do with their lives, the less what's the word now? The less entitled they become. I am very sure that you do not want to raise an entitled child at a time like this. An entitled child will not only weary you, an entitled child will bring shame to you. Yes, an entitled child will not only bring shame to you, an entitled child will continue to depend on you for the longest time. When we raise children who are entitled, we raise people who become a burden to the society. And no, that's not the plan, right? That's not the plan. We want to be a blessing to our communities and our societies. Okay. And as a matter of fact, it may shock you that your child may be the biggest contribution that you could give to humanity. Yes. How you raise your child, the kind of child that you raise, can actually end up being the biggest contribution that you actually offer to humanity. To talk about impact, who says that impact cannot be through the kind of human being that you raise and actually send out there to the world to be a blessing to the world. All right, so welcome to today's episode of the How Can I Support My Child series. This series came up as a result or as a need, right, to answer the many questions that parents consistently ask us about how they can parent better or how they can deal with the issues that come up in their parenting. And so, because of that, we decided to put a series together where we can answer these questions, right, so that many parents can get answers at the same time. If you are here and you are watching me, you are on the line who needs to be here by tagging them on Facebook or sending them a link on YouTube. If you're catching the replay, you can also do that. You can send a tag to a friend who has young children and preteens, all right, children between, sorry, yeah, young children and preteens. If you are a parent of a toddler, this is for you. You are a parent of a preteen, this is for you. In fact, if you have younger children, this is also for you. It's time to start preparing for that child before the child comes of age. And if you are a parent of a teenager, this could also be for you. Sometimes our teenagers have gaps that we want to fill as parents. And so this gives you an opportunity to see or recognize some of the things that you probably missed, on the way, or some of the things you missed, right, during that season of their lives. And so this gives you an opportunity to address some of those things. I'm just doing a bit of housekeeping, and I would like you to do the same. Thank you very much for being here today. All right, so let's jump right into it. As we said, our family members are our biggest support system. Yes, they are our biggest support system. They are our biggest collaborators. If you are parenting in the 21st century, as with any other time, you need partners and collaborators. Now, our parents were so lucky as far as this goes, right? Our parents had partners and collaborators, even if they didn't sit down to, tailor these things, naturally, the environment or the community at the time, right? The environment, our communities back in the day were such that the communities were homogeneous and closely knitted. And so we lived in communities, we lived in pocket communities where your neighbor, I mean, you have your uncles, your aunts, your brothers, your sisters, your cousins who live around you. That's how a lot of, our parents raised their children. They raised their children, I mean, before we started moving to urban lands, right? So we were raised, many people were raised in, the village setting where you knew, I mean, the next compound is a compound of your grandfather, and then the next one is your uncle, and all of that. Even if they were not, the next compound was probably the compound of your mother's best friend, and all of that. So whether we liked it or not, we had these communities that were proper villages where everyone was concerned about the next person. And so anyone could actually stop your child, in the middle of a negative behavior and correct them. So we had this, and yes, so even if our parents didn't have to put this structure in place, society, I mean, and their environment and our communities were built to put these structures in place. Okay, but as time went on, technology came in, the need to move to urban cities, and all of that, this became reduced. Okay, so this effect has been reduced over years. Now we have situations where we have families that have neighbors and have never spoken to their neighbors that they've lived with for 2 3 years. The other day I was telling one of the we're talking in the mastermind circle, our peer mentorship and accountability group for children, that if your child is not in, by the way, you are wrong. If you have a child between 6, I mean, as a matter of fact, 5 years, network. Let me be sure that I have the right network going on here. So that my network is right. All right, looks like we have the right one. All right, so yes. So yes, if you're a parent and you have a 5 year and 8 month old or a child between that age and 14 and they are not in the mastermind circle, you're wrong. All right. So this is a solid foundation ground. All right. So I was speaking with some of the parents, and I was talking about why the children need to go out and play and all of that, and some parents were, complaining, oh, we don't have neighbors, we don't play like that, where we live, it doesn't work like that and all of that. So this is the situation that we see, right, with this parent and with many other parents. You live in your compound all by yourself, right? You have just 1 or 2 kids. The kids have this huge age gap between them. You just don't have that whole practice of being out there, it's not there, right. So because of all of these things, the dynamics that we have today, it's not that easy to create or to have that village unintentionally. So you don't have that village unintentionally. That village doesn't happen naturally as it happened with our parents, where you have people who are partners and collaborators, just like that, because of the society or the community that we belong to or the environment that we belong to. Now, if you're going to have a village, you will have to intentionally create that village. Okay, you would have to intentionally create that village because the principles are still the same. Whether the dynamics have changed or not, we will still raise better children. We will still parent more effectively when we have a community, or when we have a village that is training with us. So we have to, because of the times that we find ourselves, we have to intentionally create our village. We have to intentionally create that community, that tribe, that support system that will help us, that we can leverage on to raise our children effectively. If you do not do this, you will be overwhelmed. If you do not do this, you will be raising a child in a small, in the box that is your house. If you do not do this, you will be limiting your child. So yes, it's very important that we are finding our support and we are looking for our collaborators, and we're collaborating to form that village or that tribe, that community where our children can grow effectively. So the first community that we're going to be looking at today is the community in your family and your friends, amongst your family and friends. We're going to be talking about this throughout the week, and we're going to be touching on different communities or support systems that you can create in order for you to parent effectively at a time like this. All right. Now, the first support system that you have is your family and your friends. That's support. It's one of the closest support system, and it is one that you want to be as intentional about as possible. So that's why many times when we come here, we say to you at the beginning of the session, do you have friends? Do you have family members that need to be here? Why don't you go ahead and invite them, tag them, send them, the link or something like that? Why are we doing this? Because we understand that these people form or make up your best and your most reliable support system, or the closest support system that you can have. Now, how can you ensure that you are using or leveraging, right, this support system effectively, and how can you ensure that it is the right support system that or support that you are getting? It has to, I mean, it's safe to say that you will have to make sure that as you are learning about parenting, the people that are close to you are also learning. Okay, if this is not the case, then you will weary yourself, because now you have more knowledge about how to parent right, which is, by the way, the best thing that you can do for your child and for yourself as a parent. You cannot parent with the templates that your parents parented. We cannot parent the way we were parented. Now, this is not to say that our parents did everything wrong. This is to say that parenting is moving, like the world is moving. As the world is moving, so it is everything moving also. So what do? You will have to go back and pick the things that you know from before now, and you will have to tweak them to work for the time that you are in. So yes, whatever our parents did back then was probably not bad or not so bad, right? So but then it can't work for your child, because you are raising a child in a different generation. You are raising a child at a different time. And so if you are going to parent that child effectively for a world that exists today, if you're going to parent the child effectively for a world that they know and they understand, then you will have to tweak whatever you have learned from your parents, okay, and use that to present in a way that works in this generation. Or you have to unlearn some of the things that you learned from your parents that you know full well cannot work at a time like this. You have to do all of that. And no, don't come and say, oh no, there's nothing they did, because even you are not using, I mean, in your life, you are not doing everything that your mother did at your age, right? You're probably 30, 35, 40. Are you where your mother was? Or are you doing what it was that your mother was doing at that time in her life? You probably were not. For instance, your mother was probably, just a housewife. I mean, not just. Your mother was a housewife at the time, doing her thing and making sure that you had warm meals every time you came home. Or your mother was a teacher that went to school and came back, at one, and you had her right there. Or it could be this, it could be that. But definitely, your mother wasn't as busy as you are today. Okay. I mean, it's not one size fits all. But on the average, okay, so let me not stand here and say I know all the situations and all the circumstances. But what I'm saying is, on the average, this is it. So what it is, that's why our parents come to visit us and they are looking at us and wondering, how in the hell are you guys coping? How can you do all these things you're doing and still take care of children? It's because the dynamics are different. And so now you need to do more, or you need to do something different from what they did. So it's the same way. Don't accept that into your own life and apply it in your life, and you refuse to apply it in your parenting. You cannot parent with the same template. It will not work, because you will be raising your child for a world that does not exist. So now pick what it is and then apply. But then again, you still need the fundamental principles of a support system. If you don't have that support system, you will be overwhelmed. So now that you know better, now that you're learning more, now that you understand understand principles, now that you have values, now that you know that there is a way to raise a child, as my coach would say, if the scripture says that we should train up a child in the way that they should go, now it means that there is a way that they should go. Now that you are learning the way that your child should go, you do not want to leave them with people who do not understand that way that they should go. So this is the reason why you want to ensure that the people who form your support system are also in sync with you, and they understand, you all understand the language, and you understand the way that they should go. So yes, don't just be in, I mean, if you are in this season where you can come and get knowledge, listen to a session like this, then they should be listening to. You should be sharing with them. If you are a parent today and you are not learning about parenting, you are not, you need to go back to the drawing board. You need to go back and rethink, because there is so much. There is a lot to learn about parenting, as it is that we learn about everything. If you're learning about your job, you're learning about emotional intelligence, you're learning about everything. We are learning about everything in the world today. So if you learn about every other thing, how to keep relationships at your office, how to work. We know now, those who have worked in structured, office environments, you do all of these trainings when you join. I mean, the training span from emotional intelligence to working as a team to all of this. We do all of these things because the employers understand that you need these skills in order for you to thrive, and of course, for you to thrive, and for their policies and their systems to work, without all the chaos and all of that. So if they know this about their working space, a business, how about you, a parent, or you do not know that your family on its own is an organization? You do not know it is your responsibility to ensure that there is no chaos in your home. And if you're dealing with human beings in your home, as your employers are dealing with human beings in their establishments, then it is the same principle. The policies you have, the values you have, the mission, the vision, all of that is what is keeping that establishment running effectively. So you need to come back home and create the same system in your home. The policies, the vision, the mission, and all of that is what will also help your family run without chaos. So if you're doing this in your home and you want to do this alone, you will get tired. You will get overwhelmed, because there will be a time where you are not there. You cannot build yourself to be a micromanager of your home. It is not safe. In fact, it is not a good place to be. Hi, Esther. It's not a good place to be. So you want to make sure that you are partnering with people, you are collaborating with people to ensure that this work is going fearlessly, this work is effective, and you're raising the kind of human beings that you want to raise your children to be. Now, apart from the fact that you will not get overwhelmed, you do not want to represent something in your children's life that when you are out of the equation, they are helpless and they are totally useless, because the only person that represents structure, the only person that represents values, the only person that represents anything that is right in their life is you. So the moment you are not in that dynamics, they will be lost. That's part of the reason why you do not want to do this. That's part of the reason you want to partner and collaborate with the people who form your support system. Very key. You want to create a system that is stable for your child. If you do not have that stability and you are the only one that is the figure of stability in your children's life, then it becomes difficult for them to be stable. Because what happens is when you are around, they will be hearing one language. When you are not around, they will be hearing 10 languages from different people around them who are close enough and are part of their environment. Remember, we always say that your child's environment is going to form who your child is going to become. And that environment is a sum total of the content in that environment, the people in that environment, what the child knows, what you know, what you're transferring to the child, and what every other person and every other thing in that environment is transferring to the child. So you cannot be the only custodian of knowledge, of value, of everything that you want to see in your child. You can't. So that's why you need people who are walking this journey with you. You need people who understand what you understand. You need people who are in sync with you. You need to bring in people. You need to bring in people that will form your support system. And today we are looking at your family as as those people who can form that support system. Because as I said, that's the closest and can actually be one of your most solid support system. So let's look at those in the family that can form your support system. Number one, your spouse. So number one, your spouse. I know because I work with parents, I work with children, and by extension, their parents, of course. So the whole my husband is not in sync with me, I'm doing it alone, or my wife does not understand, and all of that, this will come up. Some of us have even had a fair share of all of this. Okay, so how do you manage this? It's very key that you understand that we all come from different backgrounds, and we are all at different level, right? At different level of our journeys, especially now that you are a parent. So because your spouse has come from a different background from your background, your spouse has had a different childhood from your childhood. And of course, because many times when we got married, we were not having the right conversations. Yes, so we weren't having the right conversations, or many of us. So whatever I say here is not generalized. Okay, so take what I say here as something that is very prevalent. Okay, it's not to say that it's everybody that had the same situation, but most people did. All right, so because the right conversations were not had as far where we stand, what's going to happen, there was no parenting plan prepared before, there were no real plans prepared as far how we're going to parent, what is okay, what is not okay, and all of that. Now, when we realize the children come, and as soon as the children come, they are diverse, stance, ideas, beliefs, and all of that. And so, of course, it will contrast and it will conflict because these things were not meditated, they were not talked about, and you did not agree or arrive at anything. So it is right there where the child is present that all of the conflicting views will begin to shoot. Something happens and one person is trying to do this and the other person thinks it should be done the other way. So it's right there over the head of the child, meaning while the child is already available, that some of these things are looked at for the first time. So you need to understand, if this is you, if you're on this table, you need to understand that, okay, things will not work smoothly like that because you never had a conversation. And so it means that it is time to start having some of those conversations. You could also find out that you are in that place where you're already getting knowledge because you understand that knowledge will be the stability of our time, of your time. You understand that if you want a stable family, then you need knowledge. And so you are getting knowledge already. You're reading books, you're attending courses, you're stopping to have this program at 8:30 every morning, Monday to Friday. So you're getting tips, you're getting deep insight, if you're reading book and you belong to a community yourself. So all of a sudden you have higher knowledge because you are learning. Even scripture says it is he that seeks that will find, isn't it? Because you're seeking, so you are finding and you are knowing. Now, your spouse may not be in that space where they are seeking and they are knowing yet. So the worst thing you want to do is you want to go and become their pastor or their teacher all of a sudden because you are seeking. You need to know that you are at different phases of your journey. So the best thing we will say is take and apply what you are learning already. Results do not lie. Okay, apply what you are learning as much as possible. Make sure that the environment is, make sure that the structure, right, the structure you're able to influence is such that it takes away chaos in your home. So the more your spouse sees less chaos going on in your home and more progress, they will. We're human beings. Every human being wants to learn. We were wired to learn naturally. But of course, our learning is best when our results, or when the results are palpable, the results are seeable, the results are tangible. So if you're in that space, rather than waste all your time trying to tell another adult what they should do, you want to focus on the results, and then you look out for teachable opportunities, or you look out for opportunities where you can share your perspective. Now, those opportunities will come naturally because they will come from time to time naturally because of the experiences in your environment, the things that happen in your environment. So it could be that the child has a situation and your spouse will just ask, "What do you think?" Aha, that's it. You nail it there. It could be that it's a general conversation everybody's having, and then you, like every other person, has a chance to share your perspective. You put it right there. So just like that, gradually, but your results are your main or your most important, convincing tools in all of this. So you want to do that. All right. So as soon as but before then, okay, make it, whatever it is that you're doing, make it loud. Be consistent. Right. If you're not consistent, if you are not even if you yourself are not confident, right, how are you going to come and tell another person? If you yourself are doing the same thing, you're saying it's not right, how are you going to convince this person? So you need to work on yourself first. Work on your emotions, work on your structure, work on your ability to lead yourself first. And then when you begin to lead the children, right, the results will show, and your spouse will see that there is result. Everybody wants results. All right. So that's it. And so before you know it, you are in sync. Very key. And this person becomes a solid support system for you, so that when you are not available, they are available. We're working with the same documents, we're working with the same plan, we're working with the same vision, we're working with the same mission. So when you are not there, you're sure that you have someone rock solid that is going to be there for the children when you are not there. All right, very key. Number two is your children themselves. So you want to apply the principle of mentorship, okay, by ensuring that you are a constant role model in your home. Now, you are a mentor mom. See me in my mentor mom t-shirt. So you are a mentor mom, a mentor dad at all times, by taking on what it is that you want to see in your children, by doing the things that you want your children to do, by going through the processes that you want your children to apply in doing the things, by being accountable. That's what it means. So create a system in your home and be accountable to that system. Create a system in your home. Have a, what do you call it? If you have a family, if you say you have a set of family values, your children shouldn't see you being the one breaking those same values that you, say are the standards upon which we stand as a family. So if you believe, if this is where you are, then you have to model this without a single doubt. You have to be convincing in what it is that you are modeling. Now, when you are like this, you have to have your convictions, and your convictions should be passed down to your children. So the more you pass down your convictions, the more you model those convictions by living it, the more you pass down the values that you have come to believe in, the more you model these values, the easier it is for your children to take, internalize, and replicate this in their lives. Now, the ones who are older will understand this first. And so, because you already have discipleship in your older children, your younger children are able to learn from their older siblings. This is how the older siblings become mentors to their children. This is the same concept that we use in the mastermind circle, where we have older partners, we have junior partners, and we have senior partners. All right. In the senior partners, we have senior partners who are 13-year-olds. We have senior partners who are 11-year-olds. And so the senior partners, some of them that have been in the circle for 3 years, okay, 2 years going on 3 years, they have learned through the process. I promise you, when the children come in the first year, sometimes, for those of you who are in the circle already, or parents who come in, so sometimes, because these things are new to your children, they will drag their feet bit here and there. They will struggle, in the first couple of months. Some of them will struggle even for the entire cohort. But if you look closely, you will see that there has been some improvement from level A to level B. That's the kind of teacher that I am. I am the teacher that is constantly looking at what progress has the child made. Has the child been able to move from point A to point B? If the child has moved from point A to point B, then the child has improved. The child has made progress. Many times we are pitching our children against other people's results. That's why we're never content, because we want them to be like Tunde. And so your Iyabo must be like Tunde, because Tunde flew from level 1 to level 10. Why is my Iyabo not flying from level 1 to 10? So when your Iyabo flies from 1 to 3, you are not content. You cannot even appreciate or let them know, Kujos, you have done well. I mean, just think about it. If you can raise the bar a little, if you can push yourself a little more, I know that you can do better than that. So we are so blind to our children and the progress they are making, because we are constantly competing, knowingly or unknowingly, silently or otherwise, with other people. So you see, this journey is your own. So in the mastermind, it's the same thing. So we use the same principle. So that's why we say it's a peer mentorship. First of all, before I mentor them, second, and then I stand as matron, and then I give them accountability or ensure that I hold them accountable. So it's a double barrier from all sides. The mastermind will hit your children, hit them. They will look at their peers, and their peers are an example to them. They even have leaders even in their groups, so they can aspire to be leaders also. Okay, and then they have me modeling to them and being right there working with them. Okay, and then they have the accountability part, and then they have the structure, the curriculum that is to help them learn habits, help them learn skills, help them learn executive functioning skills, amongst many other skills. So it's such a robust program. It's such a solid foundation program. Usually we will graduate them as soon as they turn 14. When you turn 14, after your 14th birthday, as the cohort ends, we graduate you and we send you to teenage programs, because now we know that you are ready. So every teenager that we have sent from the mastermind to a teenage program, go there and look for them. They are productive already. They are productive. Yes, they are productive already. And of course, they are already leaders. So what we do, we now bring them back to our mastermind conference to come and be speakers in the conference. Remember, one of our biggest goals is to have them mentor the younger ones. You know how scripture says, let the older women train the younger ones. So we are operating on principles. And this is what I want you to do even in your parenting. Take principles and roll the principles to work for your dynamics. All right. So the third one after the children is your extended family, your sisters, your brothers, grandma, grandpa. I watched a video recently on Instagram or Instablog, one of those blogs in one of those places, about a 12-year-old girl that unlived her 8-year-old cousin, isn't it? Because they had an altercation over an iPhone. Because of the altercation over the iPhone, she actually choked, like she actually used everything within her reach to choke her 8-year-old cousin till she died. Lord. I mean, just look at that. So if you are not, I mean, this is grandma's house. If grandma, even if we are not doing this with our sisters, we're not doing this with our brothers, we're not doing this with our mothers and our fathers, we are not doing this, we're not learning and sharing with them, we are wrong. We are wrong. Sometimes we find ourselves, you will find yourself with these people whether you like it or not. Sometimes it's a vacation or it's a family gathering that you will have. So what you want to do when you go to those kind of gatherings, first of all, is you want to prep your children and let them understand you are who you are, and you are called to be an example. First of all, you're called to be an example, and your convictions shouldn't be shakeable. Your convictions are rock solid. So when your children are with their friends and with their cousins, let them be your ambassadors, carrying the convictions that you have passed down to them. And this is how little by little they are able to learn. I mean, they're able to pass down, their convictions. Here, anytime you see a confident person, every time you see a bold person, anytime you see a person who is rock solid about their convictions, I promise you, mediocrity walks away from you. People who want to turn to you, they walk away because they see this one cannot be bullied. A lot of times, the reason our children are bullied, the reason our children are moved from their convictions, the reason they get around their friends or their cousins or all kinds of people and they forget where they're coming from, is because you've not passed down your convictions strong enough. Pass down your convictions and make them hold on to it. I tell you, other people will gather around them. The world is looking for leaders. People are looking for people who will lead them. So it's two things. You either don't allow this person, you don't agree for this person to lead you, or you walk away. And we say this to the children every time. If you come into a place and there is no table for you to sit, as my coach will say, move and create your own table and recruit people who think like you on that table. Why are we raising children who are conformers? No, you can't do that at a time like this. If you raise a conformer, you will prepare your child for destruction. Or at the least you will prepare. You build a mediocre. So that's it. So you want to do this, please share what you know in the most subtle ways. So sometimes they will make faces, they will act like you're a burden when you come around. So don't go preach to anybody. Me, I'm a coach. I get paid for my resources. So I am at that point where if you don't need it, I don't have it to give to you per se. But then again, you can embody what you want to teach. You can have your children embody what it is that they have learned. And this would teach. Say, there is no contesting with results. Results will speak all the time. Very key. Very, very key. So you want to leverage it. And the other ones are your friends. If you are still making friends that you cannot, see, if you're still raising friends that are not a legacy, if you're still raising friends that you cannot say, this person, as in, you can't say this person will do the right thing if I'm not there. If you're still raising friends that you can't even send your children to go and stay in their house, change your friends. Yes, if you raise friends, if you have friends that you cannot freely leave your children at their homes, then you don't have the right circle of friends. So this is to say that your friends should be learning as you're learning. Let your friends be at the same, build friendships. Who says you can build friendships all over again? Who says you can make new friends today? They've lied to us for the longest time, saying the friends that came from way back are the best. Who says that you can make friends? I have made friends, in my 40s. I've made friends in my 40s that have turned out to be more impactful, and relationships that have turned out to be, more, that have more depth, right? And all of that. And some of the relationships that I made when I was a little girl, or when I was a teenager or earlier than that are still my friends. So don't limit yourself. Change your circle. If your circle cannot be a heritage, if your circle cannot be an inheritance, if your circle cannot be a legacy for your children, don't have friends that you cannot leave your children with. What is that? All right, so we'll have to stop here today. And today we have been talking about creating parenting support and collaborators. We're going to be talking about this throughout the week. So today we just dealt with our family and friends as our partners and collaborators in our parenting. Yeah, parenting is life. It is everything. Let no one come and be telling you it's everything parenting. If everything is not parenting, they say everything is not marriage. Everything is not parenting. Everything is not God. I ask them, what is this? What is everything? What is everything? Drinking what? Well, no. What is everything? Hanging out? Well, what is everything? Watching BB Niger? What is everything? Just tell me what is everything. So yes, parenting is everything because you are raising a whole human being. You are co-creating with God. You are raising a human being that will be a blessing or a nuisance to the world. If Albert Einstein, Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, all of these great people that have changed the world, if their parents did not think that parenting was everything, I wonder where the world would be today, right? Why those of us who think that parenting is about tablets and dancing and hanging out and drinking and all of that, those of us who think that is what life is, please, We need to go back to our room and ask ourselves, what contributions are we, what is it that we're contributing to the world with the everything that we decided that our lives should be, or that parenting should be, or that whatever should be, right? So if the people who change and have created a world that we want, we term as where we can enjoy, if they were doing the things that we think is what life should be today, would we have the world that we have today? I'm going to leave you with that question today. Have a fantastic day, parents. And let's see you later in the day at 1 p.m. where we have our weekly webinar. All right, you want to be at that webinar. Thank you for being here. I'll see you again tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. where we bring you another episode of How Can I Support My Child series, this week looking at parenting support and collaborators. Thank you very much, and bye. Oh, did I tell you? The book challenge. Sorry, the book challenge is still on. I mean, was still. So we have left the price at 3,500 naira. So you can still join. It takes off in 3 days. After we start, it will not be for 3,000. And you will join at that time because you will realize it's something that your child is missing. You will join at that time. So if I were you, I would join right now. Okay, so it's 3,500. You will still see it right there. The banner is right there. You can see it. Just screenshot and then join us. And I talked about the mastermind circle. If you want your child to be a mastermind, you want them to be a part of the mastermind circle, an amazing, amazing place, then you want to register them to be a part of the mastermind circle. All you need to do is book a slot with just 5,000 naira. The mastermind circle is less than 6,000 naira per month. Yeah, it's less than 6,000 naira per month. So it brings the entire fee for an entire year to 70,000 naira. It is so affordable. Okay, I've told the story of how when my son wanted to write BC, when he wanted to write Junior Waec, he was complaining. I mean, he can't speak or do Hausa to save his life. And then he wanted someone that can just work with him for about a week or two, so that he just knows how to navigate and all of that. And we don't do lesson teachers and all that. But then again, I said, we do scaffolding. If you're struggling with something at a time and we need to bring someone to help you understand the concept and navigate, we do that. 3 weeks, 1 month, and all of that. And then we feel you have gotten strong. Then we say thank you so that you can go on with directing yourself and becoming an independent learner. When I approached someone to come, how much did they tell me that time? How much? For 1 week, Hausa teacher, 1 week. I can't even remember. I think it was in the neighborhood of 50,000, something like that. I can't even remember the figure, but it was in that neighborhood of like 40, 50,000 for 3 times a week. So when I tell you to come and pay 1 year for the mastermind circle, just run. Okay, so book a slot for just 5,000 naira and you can pay off before we kick off on the 1st of September. Thank you for joining me. I will see you later at 1 p.m. and then tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. Bye.